Hey, this is Bubba here right at the top. At the end of this podcast, I've put a little free-form discussion Catfish and I had on our most recent The Double P Podcast Network coverage of AMC's The Terror. But it's not about The Terror. It's really about what other shows and what other things we might cover here on the podcast. So if you're interested in the Double P Podcast Network, Facebook.com/Double P Podcast. That's the word double, the single letter P, the word podcast, plural. Stick around to the end of the podcast and you'll hear that discussion Catfish and I had about interesting projects that are coming down the pike that we might cover. Also, we're so close to Con of Thrones. If you're attending the Con of Thrones, no, we want to talk to the Double L's. We want to record your voice, possibly with your knowledge, and we're going to have a post-convention podcast where it's just us talking to Double L's on the convention floor, at the bars, up in the hotel, up in our room, wherever. So come and be sure to check us out and tweet us and let us know where you are at the con. We hope it's going to be huge and there are going to be so many people that it might be hard to find you, Double L's. So once again, tweet at us. I'm Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at FitandTrim. That's FITTENTRIM, at FitandTrim on Twitter. Finally, I've tried to hold off long enough, but I'm finally breaking down and making a website and a Double P Podcast Network individual Twitter account. Follow all our social medias, and I'll be sending out information about that. With that said, let's get into the Joffrey of podcasts.
I've been very busy. Many important matters require king's attention. I'm king now. King now. I am king. I am king. I am kiss it. I am kiss it again when I return. Your fingers or your king doesn't fingers discuss your battle plan. Stupid girl. Your fingers or your tongue. I am the king. I'm telling mother. Oh.
Welcome to the Joffrey of Podcasts. My name's Bubby. You can find me on Twitter at FitandTrim. That's FITTENTRIM, at FitandTrim on Twitter. And with me, as always, is somebody who likes doing on a boat with his aunt. It's Catfish. Catfish, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Bubba, it's been so long, I almost forgot what you were talking about. That's how horrible it is. I am Catfish. You can hit me up at CJGman67 on Twitter. Bubba, we got something special today.
We do. 2 weeks from today, the day we're recording this, we'll be in Dallas, Texas. The stars at night shine big and bright.
Deep in the heart of winter.
Yeah, we are going to be at Con of Thrones 2 weeks from today, the day we're recording this. Catfish didn't clap because he's driving. We're in his car. We're doing something special today to get ready for our big appearance at Con of Thrones. We are going to a FYC, that's For Your Consideration event. HBO is throwing in honor of Game of Thrones Season 7. Season 7, Catfish, it was almost 1 year ago, and we are going to an FYC event HBO is throwing. Why don't you tell everybody what this special event is?
Just for some people who may be, the For Your Consideration is because I happen to be a member of the Television Academy, which means I get to vote on the Emmy nominations and the Emmy Awards. And so what shows do is they put on a little soiree. They'll usually screen either the first episode or the last episode of something. They'll have a little panel with some people from the show, and then they'll feed you and ply you with alcohol to try and get you to vote for their show or the actors on their show.
And today's plying is very much a special thing. I don't know if they've ever done this. So Game of Thrones Season 7 debuted in July of 2017. Here we are, it's May of 2018. And to get everybody to remember those 7 special episodes, what are they doing, Catfish?
They are going to show all 7 episodes in one day.
A marathon, what?
A marathon. They're putting us in a really cool theater in an old hotel here in Los Angeles that has very, very cramped seating. And we are going to be watching all 7 episodes. We get 5 hours of free food trucks, so we'll be well fed. And we are going to do this. This is happening. It's happening.
7 hours. This is like the binge you do on a weekend at home, but it's in a theater with cramped seating. This is great. When was the last time you saw these 7 episodes, Catfish, of Season 7?
When they aired in Season 7. I have not seen anything. I've not seen it, rewatched any of them. Have you watched any of them again?
Well, I watched them back then. You know, I would watch them multiple times a week. And when the Blu-ray came out, I watched all the Blu-ray special features of Season 7.
But yeah, I haven't seen these episodes in a year, too. So what we're going to do today on today's episode of the Joffrey podcast is we're going to give you guys an audio tour of what this is like. A lot of you guys don't get to experience this insane marathon, and we're going to take you behind the scenes. We're going to give you sights and sounds and smells of what it's like to be trapped in a theater for 7+ hours. Now, because we're driving, and I've been trying to think of, hey, it is a year away. I still think Game of Thrones will not premiere until April of 2019. Why so long? Because HBO wants these Emmys, don't they, Catfish?
Well, why wouldn't they want the Emmys? They've gotten some before. I mean, they want everything. They want to be the #1 stolen show of all time. They want people to join HBO to watch their show. And the last season is going to be huge.
Right. So I keep saying they're going to debut Season 8 in April of 2019. Why? Because it's just 6 episodes. So 6 episodes will go across April, end in May here in the United States, right before the holiday Memorial Day, where everybody leaves. Why is it important to have the episodes then? Well, that's when Emmy voters have these events and have to determine and nominate shows to be eligible to win Emmys. And so April 2019, it's so far away. I've created some things for you, double L's.
Double L's?
Catfish, keep hands on the wheels. That's loyal listeners.
Excellent.
And so something for you guys to enjoy while we are going. So Game of Thrones, all right? The very first book by George R.R. Martin. Game of Thrones.
It came out in 1852, I believe.
Did come out a long time ago. But just so you know, that novel has 292,727 words. The next novel, A Clash of Kings, has 318,903. A Storm of Swords has 414,604. A Feast for Crows, it's bouncing here in the car as we drive across these. La Cienega here needs to be repaved in Los Angeles. Feast for Crows has 295,032 words, while A Dance with Dragons has 414,788 words. That's a total of 1,736,054 words. If the Season 8 doesn't premiere for a year, what are you going to do with all your time? Well, if you want to, space it out, you can read 4,756 words a day, and that should get you to Season 8. You just read 4,756 words a day. You'll be done by the time Season 8 premieres. Now, the page count, let's go by pages, because sometimes it's hard when you're reading to go, yes, I've read 4,756 words. A Game of Thrones has 694 pages. A Clash of Kings has 768. Storm of Swords is 973. A Feast for Crows, 976. And A Dance with Dragons has 1,040 pages, for a total of 4,451 pages in the saga so far. Good news, you just have to read 12 pages a day. That's it. That's all you have to read is 12 pages a day. You do that daily. By the time you finish, Game of Thrones will be back on the air. Isn't that easy?
I could easily read 12 pages a day. I've already read 12 pages today, and it's not even 9:30.
Ouch. Man, you really shouldn't be driving with that lack of concentration. All right, so what else can you do over this year until Game of Thrones premieres again? May 20th, which is coming up real soon, Catfish. That is the actor Jack Gleason's birthday. That's right, the person who portrayed His Grace, first of his name, first in your hearts, King Joffrey Baratheon. His birthday in real life is May 20th, so there'll be a big celebration for that, don't you think?
I don't know what else is on your list. Clearly you've done a lot of research, but I think you can stop right there. I think not only should you celebrate him every day, but for this special birthday, whatever it is, I think you should celebrate it for an entire year. So skip to May of 2019.
Okay. I have other dates here, Catfish. You're just destroying
I just told you.
All right, sorry.
Put them all away.
Right, so the things you won't be celebrating...
Okay, yes.
Because Jack Gleason's birthday, May 20th, is the most important, only holiday we're celebrating. His name date, if you will. On May 25th, or the night before, May 24th, here in the United States, you'll be able to see Daenerys Targaryen, Emilia Clarke, in Solo, A Star Wars Story. Ooh.
She's pretty sexy.
And, of course, the weekend of May 25th through May 27th here in 2018. It's the Celebration Con of Thrones in Dallas, Texas, featuring Joe Dempsey, a.k.a. Gendry, Hannah Murray, a.k.a. Bubba's future wife, Gilly, Sibel Kikeli, a.k.a. Shay the Funny Whore, Katie Dickey, Liza Aaron, Ismay Bianco, Roz, the non-funny whore. There's also Sirio, Amy Richardson, who played Myrcella 1.0, Sam Coleman as young Hodor. Ooh, exciting, huh?
Well, but I mean, you forgot the headliners.
Bubba in Con of Thrones on Sunday, May 27th. Oh, wait, headliner. So sorry. Also featuring with special guest appearance by Catfish.
And what time will our panel be, Bubba?
That's right, 2 p.m., I assume Dallas, Texas, Central Time here in the United States. 2 p.m. Dallas, Texas time. We're opposite...
On Sunday.
On Sunday, May 27th, opposite Hannah Murray's autograph session. So if you paid money to get lovely Gilly's autograph and photo with her, forget that and come to our panel. We need people there, folks.
That's right. Who'd want to hang out with your future wife? Not even you.
Okay, let's jump ahead a bit. Go into June.
By the way, hold on. I feel like you just broke news on this podcast. What happened to you and Missandei?
She broke my heart there in the Ralphs on Sunset all those years ago. All those years ago when I met lovely Natalie Emmanuel, the actress who plays Missandei on Game of Thrones. She was with her sister. It was her sister's first time here in the United States, first time in Los Angeles. And I tried to not come across as somebody who was drunk having watched the Super Bowl at a party at your house, Catfish, but she's not returning my texts, my calls, my stalker letters.
It's probably because you don't have her phone number or address.
Right, when you just text Missendei, some reason it's not going straight to her. What's going on here?
It should go right to her, like letters to Santa.
Did you say Sansa? Okay, let's jump forward to June of 2018. So how are you going to fill in this time? Well, you can follow me, Bubba, on Twitter, FITTENDRIM, at Fit and Trim on Twitter. Why? Because I will be in the real-life King's Landing of Dubrovnik, Croatia, and I'll be tweeting out all sorts of photos, all sorts of fun from my trip across the narrow sea to Croatia and Dubrovnik, where they film most of the King's Landing scenes in Season 2 through Season 8. They filmed some there this year. Huzzah!
Yay.
Catfish, where will you be while I'm on beautiful Croatia?
I'll be working my butt off at home in Los Angeles.
So no need to follow his Twitter account, because the photos will be incredibly boring. Let's jump ahead. I'm imagining. This is a guess. So let's go to July 1st of 2018. This is my guess for when you will have the first image of Game of Thrones Season 8. I'm guessing that they're going to show us something. It might just be a still image. But I'm guessing that we'll have our first image of Game of Thrones Season 8 here on July 1st of 2018. Why do I say that, Catfish?
Well, I don't know why.
Because that's when I believe we'll have the last episode of HBO's hit drama Westworld. HBO needs these big tent poles to keep people subscribing to their channel. So I think once Westworld ends, they've got to remind viewers, hey, you're not going to see Game of Thrones for another 10 months, but we want you to not go away. So I believe that's my guess, my next prediction in my long line of Season 8 predictions of what you can do. Yes. Now let's jump ahead to 2019. This is so good. 2019. So from July of 2019 to February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2019. There's nothing to do but celebrate Jack Leese's birthday.
And read 24 pages a day now because you haven't been reading. You know you're behind.
So what comes out on Valentine's Day 2019? It's our own Speak of this Early Stark, Sansa Stark, Sophie Turner. Her movie, X-Men Dark Phoenix, premieres. Just what you want to bring people to on Valentine's Day, Catfish, is you want to bring them to see X-Men Dark Phoenix, the most romantic of all the X-Men movie, we assume.
Well, it will be romantic. It'll be romantic because it's probably just going to be you and me watching it.
Hey now. But then, guess what? Just 1 week later, you're going to be able to see her surly Stark sister, Arya Stark, Maisie Williams, in her own mutant movie, The New Mutants premieres in February 22nd of 2019. You just can't escape these early starts.
I'm very excited about that movie because they're essentially turning it into sort of a horror movie.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, if they release it in February, that means it's good.
Yeah, as I call January and February, Dumpuary, because that's when they dump all the movies.
Now, also coming next year, but it hasn't got an official premiere date yet, His Grace's mother, Queen Cersei herself, Lena Headey, will be starring in a new movie with The Rock called Fighting with His Family. It's a movie about a professional wrestler having to deal with his career as a professional wrestler as well as being the dad and leading his family. The Rock and Queen Cersei. Exciting film, huh, Catfish?
Wow, I'm calling it right now. That might be The Rock's first bomb in a while.
Ouch. You didn't think Rampage was a bomb?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? That's a good question. I did not see it. But I played it.
All right, we are almost here at the theater. If you haven't been checking out some of the other podcasts here on the Double P Podcast Network, please go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Double P Podcast. That's the word double, the single letter P, the word podcast, plural. Man, none of these streets have been paved in a while. Here we are in Figueroa. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. We're covering a great series on AMC entitled The Terror. If you haven't checked it out, hey, jump over to AMC, catch up, and it's a pretty darn good show. And then you can follow along with our podcast, which is on the Double P Podcast Network feed.
That is a thrilling and chilling show. And also, it's only got 2 episodes left.
Yeah, so you got to catch up quick. So we're going to pause it for right now and let you guys know that every time we pause it, we're going one step into the marathon. So the next time we're back on the podcast, we will have just rewatched Season 7, Episode 1. Plus, we'll possibly be giving you some reviews of some of the food trucks if they're set up this early. Until then,
I'm telling Mother.
So we made it into the theater. Catfish, why don't you tell everybody what they got as they got into the Ace Hotel Theater?
Well, there is quite a buzz here. This theater in the hotel is beautiful. Probably 70, 80 years old. I wish I knew the history of it. And beautifully, ornately decorated. And the lights are blue. It's dim in here. They've got a bunch of Game of Thrones characters on the screen. They're showing a still on the screen. And they've got El Jefe White Walker in the center of it. It is, this is exciting. I can't wait for Episode 1. We've already plying ourselves with free popcorn and lemonade. This is going to be quite the event.
We have tokens for food and drink, specifically beer and wine, later on. It is packed with Academy members, and there is a podium at the front, but there isn't a Q&A. So do we think there's going to be any celebrities here or just somebody from HBO to say, hey, thanks, remember this show, FYC?
I'd be surprised if there are any Game of Thrones celebrities here. This is... I think when it was too busy to kind of find people, they came up across this thing and then they said, this idea, let's just show all 7, and that's enough. Never seen any Emmy event like it. They always show only like 1 episode.
All right, we are 15 minutes away from them showing Season 7, Episode 1.
I'm so excited. I want to see how it plays watching all 7 in a row. This is kind of the new model, the binge model, but that's not the way we've watched it in the past. Also, one of the faces on the screen is Peter Baelish, and I'm really excited to see what happens to Peter Baelish this year. I think Season 7 is his season. He's going to end up on top.
It is his season, if you know what we mean. All right, we'll be back after the first episode.
Many important matters require King's attention.
We just finished the first episode of Season 7. Catfish, just as good upon reflection?
Absolutely, and great on the big screen. I can't wait to see all the battles on the big screen. We didn't have any here, but my boy Baelish, I love him. He's my man.
There is a light mist falling on us. We're coming out here to the food truck area of this display. We've got pink taco truck. We've got a pizza truck. We've got a green truck, which is an organic food truck. There's rice balls of fire, a gelato place, and a burger place. And something called Dreamy, which looks like a cupcake place. All right, what are your thoughts, Catfish? What looks the best?
I think we should get a burger and a pizza and split it. and
right.
cupcakes.
Okay, we're going to head up here to this Best Burgers in L.A. as seen, Babes on Board Burger Place as seen on Shark Tank.
I'm king now. King now.
All right, you've seen 2 episodes. What'd you think?
Well, I realized something, Bubba. Last year I was very hard on Sansa because she kept on breaking the code of Omerta. She kept on going against her brother, Jon Snow, and whenever he'd present something to all the other lords. I was like, she should know to say something to him in silence. But I realized tonight it was really his fault, especially after the first one. After the first one, he should have said, if I'm going to say something, if I'm going to come up with a big idea, I should talk to her about it and convince her in private so we can have a unified front. So now I'm putting all the blame on JS, and I apologize to Sansa.
He's like, now, everybody, I've got a surprise for you. I've made this decision. Leak it to the press earlier. Have your press secretary, Davos, say something.
Right, just sort of a trial balloon kind of thing, Yeah, let it get out there. See how people respond.
So what'd you think of the food? You had the pizza. How was it?
Oh, the pizza was very delicious. How about you? You had the burger and fries?
Burger, really good. It was apparently as seen on Shark Tank, and I tasted it with my delicious shark teeth. It was really good. And the cake balls, do you want to say anything about the cake balls?
They were very heavy.
2 episodes down. Just more than 5 hours left. All right. Let's do this.
The king.
3 episodes down. I remember that one I gave 10 out of 10 because it was so good. But watching it again, I almost want to downgrade it because it's so packed. There's so much good things happening in it. It's a bit ridiculous. What do you think?
I still loved it. I mean, the scene there's so many good characters in this season that we bid a fond farewell to, and it feels like they were all given a great send-off. So, R.I.P. Olenna. She's the best.
So good. All right. 3 down.
4 to go.
Oh, I wish you hadn't said that. All right.
King. I am king.
All right. Episode 4 down. I have to be honest, because it's the shortest in this marathon, I want them all that short.
Are you kidding me? The so-called loot train attack, because the loot was already gone. Amazing on the big screen. Amazing.
So good. The audience, they've all seen it. They were clapping and cheering. This is the way you want to see that episode.
Oh, my God. And people, I mean, this is great. Even though this is for Emmy stuff, people who come for this whole thing, they're huge fans. So imagine being in a full auditorium with people cheering, laughing when Baelish does stuff, applauding. It's so good.
So good. Okay, somehow we've made it halfway through.
Yes. 3 more to go. So much has to happen.
Kiss it again when I return. Your fingers or your king.
All right, dude, we just got through 5.
Wow. So many bad things happen in 5. This season was great up until this point, and we have 2 of the things that are horrible about the season happen in back-to-back scenes. I didn't realize it was in back-to-back scenes. The manufactured Arya Sansa problem that's going to last for this next episode, which I'm going to hate. And then this plan, which is horrible. Look, they now agree. Daenerys believes in Jon Snow. So go and fight the White Walkers, Jon Snow and Daenerys. Then they can figure out the rest out later. Why do this stupid thing where they're going to try to bring Cersei into the whole thing?
Yeah, it was a bunch of poor decisions. Like the first 4 episodes, I think you could argue are some of the strongest 4 episodes they have. And then 5, I actually think it's an okay episode filled with terrible ideas. It's this next episode, we're about to watch 6. Any other food you want to talk about? I just had some gelato. It was good.
Oh, I had something called pink tacos. It's very delicious. And I'm going to use my last drink token to not get beer or wine, but a Coca-Cola.
I still have 1 entree ticket left, and I got to use it sometime during episode 6. All right, we'll be back in this marathon. It's currently 5:19 p.m. We've been doing this for 6 hours and 19 minutes. We just finished the 6th episode. Before I hand it over to you, Catfish, I'm just going to say that not a large applause, but there was some applause when Daenerys swooped in with her dragon to save everybody. There was some applause when Uncle Benjen came by and saved Jon Snow. Episode 6, thoughts?
Well, you forgot to mention the applause. When the dragon became the White Walker, people were like, yeah, that is cool.
That was a very smaller group.
I was hoping that seeing the episodes back to back and not having to wait a week, I wouldn't have problems with the stupid idea and the conflict between Arya and Sansa, but it's actually more groan-inducing in seeing it back to back. And what's sad is, I wish I could enjoy that scene between Sansa and Arya is so well written. The one where Sansa sees her face, sees the faces, and Arya shows her the knife. The scene's so written that if it didn't irritate me so much, I would have really enjoyed the scene. It's a great written scene.
Right. If it hadn't been built on this quicksand of a stupid plot, the scene between Arya and Sansa disagreeing, that was very well acted, written, but it can't escape.
Could have been thrilling if I wouldn't have been punching myself in the face the whole time, hating it.
Okay, we can already hear the music. It's time for episode 7. Let's end this.
The last one.
I'm telling Mother.
Okay, we are back. We have gotten in the car.
Yes!
I looked at when the final credits of Season 7, Episode 7 started/ended, it was 6:42, which meant it was 7 hours and 42 minutes. And that doesn't count the fact that we got here an hour and a half early, Catfish. You just did it. Season 7 in a marathon setting. What are your overall thoughts? Has it changed how you felt about Season 7? Let's hear it.
Well, you knew you were smart, and as always, you remember more than I do. And you were like, I'm really excited for episodes 1 through 4, and I'm a little concerned about episodes 5 and 6. And I felt the same way. I was concerned about episodes 5 and 6. 7 was good. It wrapped up. It still felt like it was fun. The Baelish reveal was fun, but it was still a major cheat. And the only person they were cheating was the audience, really. There was no reason to fool Baelish by pulling him in there and then having Arya step up. So they did a lot of stuff that was cheating, but still enjoyable. My major problem still with the season is the big plan. What did they think they were going to accomplish by grabbing that White Walker and taking it to Cersei? Every single person in the series who spent more than 3 minutes with her knows that she's a duplicitous, lying person and that she's never going to do anything selfless. They know this. They understand this. It's a horrible plan. In the end, it doesn't even make sense that she fakes them by saying, I refuse to take your plan unless Jon Snow bends to me, since whatever plan she accepted, she was going to go back on anyway, unless she had some sort of crazy extra plan to get Tyrion to come to her so she could manipulate him to soften the opponents from within. So all this stuff, it seemed a lot like they were fooling the audience by doing things that didn't make sense that the characters would do.
All right, I'm going to jump in and say that this was something I don't know if I actually articulated well when we reviewed Season 7 episode by episode here on the Joffrey podcast. I have to be honest, I'm not sure I'm going to articulate it well now. But there are an awful lot of scenes in Season 7 where there isn't any score, where our good buddy Ramin Djawadi
Lazy.
doesn't have any music. In a good handful of these scenes, I kind of thought, boy, some music would liven this up. One that immediately comes to mind is Cersei has called a bunch of bannermen in, including bannermen from the Reach, who should be listening to the Olenna Tyrell. And she's saying, listen, the Tyrell is supporting these foreign invaders. Randall Tarley speaks up against it, and then Jaime and Randall Tarley have a discussion. And for most of that scene, there's no score. And maybe I just love Ramin Djawadi's score too much, or I just needed something to help fill out some of those scenes. But some of those drier scenes, and I wish I had taken note of others, where there was no score, I really thought, boy, some music here would work. Maybe I'm too much of a Star Wars fan where I always need music. And I don't know, those scenes hurt. Then when you talk about the big, let's capture a undead army member, present him to Cersei, the plan was always stupid. On rewatch, I see that this stupid plan did get us an awful lot of fun scenes. There are fun scenes with Cersei scheming Jaime and Jaime flipping sides. That scene in episode 7 is so great. There are a lot of real fun scenes in this stupid plan, but the fact that it's built on a stupid plan, it just hurts it so much. And that said, it's a shame it really only takes up episodes 5, 6, and 7. AKA, the first 4 are so great, if they had flipped this around somehow, and the first 3 episodes had been kind of, not good, ooh, that doesn't make too much sense, and it had ended on 4 super strong episodes, once again, they would have had a big bang to season 8 for this super long wait, the never-ending winter, the long night we're in now between episodes. But one final thing I would say that this marathon really convinced me of is there is so much good acting on this show. This show, because of its grandeur, because there's so many plots and storylines, you would think no actor is going to be able to truly shine and truly win awards on a fantasy show. But so many actors, even those with quote-unquote smaller roles to play in the whole series, they really do a great job of acting. And so it feels like more people should be winning for this show based on acting. And my Season 7 MVP has to be Cersei. She wasn't in Episode 6, I believe, and that hurt Episode 6. Catfish, it feels like you want to say things based off what I've said.
Well, only in that you were right that the plan got some people together. The Brotherhood without banners, it actually seemed to, the plan at least showed that they were good for something, and that is, I guess, kind of, I don't want to say cannon fodder, but White Walker fodder. So at least we kind of got them out of the way. It also led to some really good scenes between, my favorite chuckly scene of the season is still between the Hound and Tormund's Giantsbane. It's just so funny and so good. So that was another one where, because we had this stupid plan, we got some people together that were some really good, that gave us some good fun scenes. And I guess it gave super fast twitch muscle Gendry something to do.
He's a great runner. That's never been denied.
He falls always 50 yards short. So that's the only problem. He can't make it past through the tape. You got to run through the tape, Gendry.
In high school, he did the 1 mile and 2 mile on the track team. He never got up to the 50 miles in a day. What do you think he ran?
It's funny because I was thinking as I was watching that scene, that it's famous now that one of the running distances that people run is called a marathon, because of course that follows an old story. Someone was running from marathon or to marathon to deliver a very important message, and so it follows that exact distance. So I was wondering if they actually, when it does pass and they start to do some running for fun, if the races will be called Eastwatch. Like, I'm going to go run an Eastwatch today. Instead of a marathon, it's an Eastwatch.
Yeah, instead of a polar bear plunge, it's an Eastwatch run.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do a half Eastwatch in preparation for my Eastwatch.
2 weeks from today, in fact, 2 weeks from now exactly, our panel at Con of Thrones will be over.
I'm so sad already.
If you are lucky enough to be there in Dallas, Texas, when we do Con of Thrones 2018, we're just on one panel, I believe, so really you shouldn't come just to see us. Come to see the stars, come to hear a bunch of interesting people give interesting ideas, and then waste an hour with us.
Well, it's not wasting an hour. It's come celebrate with us.
Now, we haven't won any awards, but I want to go ahead and thank the Academy and HBO for hosting this. This was great.
Oh, man. This was, I've been to a lot of great events and for Emmy voting, and this was by far the best. I would love it. Well, I guess they wouldn't do it next year because it would be right after it finished airing, pretty much. But it was a great idea by HBO.
Now, on a typical The Joffrey podcast, you would see us rank the episode, but we've seen these, we've already ranked these in past podcasts. So what I thought we would do, Catfish, to end this episode is to go ahead and rank the food trucks. We were given so many tickets. Forget all the food trucks. We were given unlimited popcorn and water and lemonade and unsweetened iced tea.
Oh my God.
But then they also gave us, I felt like, too many tickets for food. So let's go through. The first one we both had a little bite from was the Vivace wood-burning pizza truck. What is your ranking out of 10 for this pizza truck?
I'm going to give that a 9 because it's a pizza I would happily order to have delivered at home. Happily.
Well, you would have them drive and cook it for you.
Sure. I guess I'd have them park in front of my house, and then I'd stand outside and wait in line with everybody else in front of my house for it.
I'm only going to go 7 double P's out of 10.
Double P's?
Yeah, pepperoni pizzas.
Pepperoni pies, got it.
Right. It was okay, very good, especially for a food truck. They really were wood burning this stuff, and so really great. I didn't try this one, so I can't rank it. What is your ranking for Pink Taco?
I'm going to give Pink Taco 7, what I like to call double D's.
Double D's?
Yeah. Delicious. Deliciousness.
Oh man, so you really
came up with something special there.
So you really liked Pink Tacos. What did you have? What was good?
I had their carne asada tacos. I wish I had done what somebody asked for, the flour tortillas, which I prefer over the corn. They gave me the corn. The reason why I'm going to downgrade it to a 7, the chips were only so-so, and the salsa was very mild.
Okay, I wasn't watching you so closely, but I don't believe you ate anything at the green truck, a.k.a. all organic food, which they were serving turkey burgers and some other completely organic thing. What'd you have?
I am still going to give them 3, what I like to call double Fs.
Double Fs?
Yeah, and that is false food, because they had a menu that had about 8 items on it, one of which was a grass-fed burger, but they were only serving 2 items. So I wish I'd walked away from that truck saying loudly, no wonder there's no one at this truck. They're only offering 2 things.
Okay, how about rice balls of fire? This was sushi and rice balls and all sorts of fun stuff. They had some shrimp tempura. Did you try any of this? Because I didn't.
I did not, but it looked pretty good.
Our final entree option was Baby's Badass Burgers, which were serving burgers as well as some curly fries on the side. I only really let you have curly fries, Catfish. What'd you think?
I would give them 8. I would give them 8 out of 10.
They were pretty good, but that burger, I'm going to go 9 double H's out of 10.
Double H's?
Well, double H's are what you call for healthy hamburgers. Not that they were healthier for me. They'll probably give me a heart attack in a couple days. But they were healthy portions. These things were big.
Well, I wish you told me about that, because you didn't let me have any bite of your burger. And so then when I went back, I didn't have the burger.
Oh, man, it was so good. All right, for desserts, we had 2 options. We had something that was a cupcake place that was serving cake balls, you heard that right, called Dreamy Creations Cupcakes is the name of the food truck. They were serving these cake balls. One was like a double chocolate, and another one was a birthday cake flavor is what they called it. What's your ranking out of 10 for this?
I'm going to give them 6, again, double Fs. False food.
False food? They weren't cupcakes, but they were dessert. What was false?
Well, that's the thing, is that so it said cupcakes, and I'm like, oh, I would like a cupcake, and they were more like cake donuts. They were just very thick, and even the covering outside was kind of a thicker, heavier thing. And I wanted a cupcake after the truck said cupcakes.
I'm gonna go 9 double S's out of 10. They were really good.
Double S's?
Sugary sprinkles. Those birthday cakes covered with sprinkles. Loved those. Final one, they had Palazzolo's gelato. Mm-hmm. Easy for me to say. I had some. I don't believe you had some.
I'll tell you why I didn't have any, because you were holding the cup. Once again, I had none. You had it, and so therefore I was offered nothing.
It was fine, but I'm about to be in Italy. I'm going to Italy right after Crown of Thrones, so I'll taste the real gelato. This gelato, 6 double M's out of 10.
Double M's?
Mint mistakes. I got mint chocolate chip, which is my favorite flavor, but I should have tried something special because we were there at Gelato. Hey, if you've bothered to listen to this, thank you so much. My name is Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on Twitter.
And I'm Catfish. You can hit me up at CJGman67.
Follow our Facebook page at facebook.com/double P podcast. That's the word double, the single letter P, the word podcast, plural. Facebook.com/double P podcast to find out about all the podcasts we do. And sadly, on no other podcast have we ranked any food trucks.
Well, that was the most thrilling part of the whole podcast, I think.
And so you'll hear us next time on
The Joffrey of Podcast. Really couldn't share any of that food?
Catfish, we started this Double P Podcast Network for a couple of things. I was a guest on a Twin Peaks podcast. I was a guest on the great podcast Winterfell about Game of Thrones. And the only reason why I thought to kind of offer myself up as a guest is that in both cases, I had something to offer. In Game of Thrones, I'd read the books based on your great suggestion. In Twin Peaks, I'd been a fan of the original back in the 90s, so I could offer kind of a new perspective. Then people said, oh, Bubba, why don't you start your own podcast? And so we started to do...
Right. Please stop commenting. Stop being a part of our podcast.
Right.
Do your own.
And so I thought, well, we should do podcasts of things that kind of we have some knowledge about and love about that maybe other people aren't doing. We both read a book. We didn't actually both like the book, but we both read a book called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. They were doing a BBC miniseries, so we thought, oh, let's do a podcast about that. And we did a really good job, I think. We've done podcasts about Ash versus Evil Dead based on your, love and history with Ash versus with the Evil Dead franchise. And so we did one about that. People have asked us to do podcasts about other things. I've even pitched, well, maybe we could do things like Westworld. But to be completely honest, number one, I'm not just hooked on Westworld. I kind of find it an interesting puzzle, but I don't love it like I love some shows. And also, I don't have a great inside knowledge of Westworld. I saw the original movie back when I was on cable when I was a kid, but there was nothing we could provide. So I decided to look out at some things that are coming down the pike based on books I've read. So coming out real soon, in fact, I think it actually launches this month on Cinemax, is J.K. Rowling, the author who wrote all the Harry Potter novels. She's got a detective series and Cinemax miniseries / I think it's already aired over in the UK about the first book, The Cuckoo's Calling, is about to air here. And I thought, well, we could do a podcast about that, but it's already aired in the UK. People can already go on Wikipedia and read everything that happens in it, so maybe that wouldn't be great. Also coming down the pike on HBO is a miniseries, Sharp Objects, based on a book written by Gillian Flynn. I read that book, but I didn't love it. So I thought, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I didn't love it either.
Another thing that is not coming down, it's coming down the pike, but we don't know how far out it is, and we may podcast about this.
Oh, I would love to do this one.
It's a book called...
Love it.
It's a book titled The Rook, and it was written by this guy, Daniel O'Malley.
Now, see, I love mashing up two genres and doing something interesting with it. Like here, we have a survival for terror. We have a survival drama along with a supernatural drama, and for The Rook, it's a combination of supernatural / spy thriller.
Yeah.
So that's cool to me, and both elements are important in the book, and so I imagine they'll both be important in the series.
Well, we don't know how far out that is. And one other thing that gives me some slight trepidation is that the woman behind the Twilight books is part of the woman who's behind the team to bring The Rook to TV. And nothing against Twilight, except everything against Twilight. It just wasn't for me. And so I hear that, and I'm like, oh, boy.
Well, not only that, I mean, the production values on those movies was... Ugh.
Okay, some crazy things that are coming down the pikes. We don't know when. The Kingkiller Chronicles, based on these books by Patrick Rothfuss. The first book, The Name of the Wind, you told me to read. It's one of the best books ever.
It's great.
Currently, they're actually trying to do two different things with it. Showtime is thinking about producing a prequel series to the books. So, like, based on material that's kind of not in the books, but a prequel to the books.
Well, it's interesting because the book, they could do something after the books. They could do anything, but when are the books going to finish?
Well, that's right. The books have not finished this ongoing saga, a bit like Game of Thrones. But then also, Sam Raimi, the director Sam Raimi, he's in talks to direct a film version of The Name of the Wind for Lionsgate. So there are two competing kind of tangent projects going out together.
How can that be? Only someone can own the rights to it.
Well, hold on. It would be
TV.
The film would have the rights to the novels, I believe, and then this prequel series would be, kind of based on something else. That's the way I understand it.
Okay.
That theoretically coming down the pike is something based on the fiction book The Hot Zone. I read that when I was a kid. I wasn't really in love with it, but it's an interesting premise, at least. There's also always talks about them making a Y the Last Man TV series.
When you say always talks, these talks have been going around for 6-7 years?
They've been going on, but it seems like it's warming up. If that came down the pike, we'd probably do it.
That's an interesting one. It's based on a comic book adaptation.
Yeah, graphic novel
This
series.
is not really a spoiler alert. It's the setup for the whole thing, is that there's something that wipes out all the men in the world except for one dude and his male monkey.
Male animals were dying, too. That's an important point.
Yes.
All right. There's also a novel entitled The Nick, which they're talking about making. I thought The Nick was okay, but an actual much better book that's very similar to it is The Goldfinch. That's currently being made into a movie starring Ansel Elgort. I don't feel you can really do a long podcast series about movies, but The Goldfinch is a great book.
Ansel Elgort?
Yeah, and so we might do a one-off podcast on that. Other series that are coming up from books that I just happened to read, The Passage. Fox is about to do a series based on this novel and a series of novels. The first one's entitled The Passage, about kind of like The Walking Dead, but instead of with zombies, they're kind of these monster vampires. I really didn't like the first book, so I can't see myself podcasting about that. Beautiful Ruins is another book I read. Kind of fun back and forth in some ways about Liz Taylor and Richard Burton filming Cleopatra in Italy way back when and how that ties into modern lives. Wasn't a huge fan of it. The Fifth Season, which is about the sci-fi planet, which is entitled The Broken Earth. That's coming down the pike. John Updike's Rabbit Run in his Rabbit books. They're thinking about making a series. Boy, I was not a fan of those. So I started looking at, well, what else? Movies. Movies coming out this year, August 31st, The Little Stranger. It's going to star Domhnall Gleeson, Ruth Wilson, Will Powder, and Charlotte Rampling. I really, really liked that book, so that could be a good movie. A book I didn't quite enjoy as much, but I know a lot of people loved, Where'd You Go, Bernadette, is going to be out October 19th, starring Cate Blanchett. And then we've just got a bunch of Stephen King projects coming down the pike. There's going to be Hearts in Atlantis, which was a short story collection. They did a film based on one of the short stories that had nothing to do with Hearts in Atlantis, but they named it Hearts in Atlantis. They're going to make a movie based on the short story that actually involved playing the game Hearts. It Chapter 2 is coming down the pike. They're talking about doing the Long Walk movie.
That'd be great. The Long Walk.
A great book entitled The Talisman has also been optioned. And maybe our best hope, even though it's so far away, is The Stand. Stephen King's The Stand is going to be a 10-episode miniseries. Finally, Dan Simmons himself, his flashback novel is getting a TV series adaptation.
The one that I love so much.
You left it on a plane. Catfish, is there anything else that we might be thinking about doing? And listeners, to be honest, stuff pops up. Always go to our Facebook page and give us suggestions.
Yeah, give us suggestions. One that's sort of on my radar, I'm a big Ray Bradbury fan.
Okay.
And there is a adaptation of Fahrenheit 451 that is showing on Saturday night.
This Saturday on HBO.
That's right. Whoa, you really sold that. So that's a possibility as well. That's one of my book I love. It's very kind of a 1984-ish novel.
I know Catch-22 is coming down the pike too.
Oh, so that Catch-22 is my favorite book of all time, and I love it too much to abide any kind of adaptation of it.
Ouch. Alan Arkin is turning over in his bed because he's not dead yet. Listeners, if you want to follow us along on all the crazy podcast journeys we do, the best place to do it, I've said it until your ears are blue, Facebook.com/Double P Podcast. That's the word double, the single letter P, the word podcast, plural, Facebook.com/Double P Podcast, /Double P Podcast, /Double P Podcast, /Double P Podcast.